Unanimous.
Okay, number 8 is a little bit redundant. Back in May or March it says we got an advance notice of our statutory required allocation to the PBA office, and actually we've got a little more than that in our budget line item for PBA. This is, I guess, is kind of a follow-up after their final review of all the certified assessment, and seemed like in the past they sent us this notice that it was this amount, and then come 2 or 3 months later we'll get another notice saying it was back up where it was.
That's correct.
So anyway, this is just kind of a heads up, and since we've already approved the amount in our budget, we're already covered, but just kind of for your information. Okay, item number 9, this is really just more of a heads up than anything. We've been working on a road project for a year since first options were signed and so forth, and now the state's finishing up approving the plans for that project. We've been working with and dealing with this company, American Engineers, on and through and on behalf of Maker's Mark, but not independently of Maker's Mark. Going forward, County Attorney Joe Mattingly said we need to get an agreement with them for what our final cost is going to be. And this is a proposal, and Joe and I have talked a little bit, but it needs to have not to exceed language in here. It needs to have 2 or 3 things that are going to be probably added to it, a little more detail in the $25,000 lump sum, besides the fact that they're just trying to bill us for work that they've probably already done. But Joe and I will make contact with American Engineers and John Tasman and get this tweaked a little bit before we sign it. Probably do that hopefully by next meeting.
So we're looking at the our figure. Are we looking at $43,000 as the figure as not to exceed?
That would be my hope. You know, we had a preliminary plan that showed the road work to be done, and they actually had, if you added the testing, inspections, engineering, and permitting together, it was actually more than this amount.
Right.
So that would be where we would hope that would shake out or less.
The second question is this a reimbursable expense to
That
the
is.
state?
I thought there was an
100%.
email to that effect. Yeah, on the front of that handout, Charlie Allen verified that all engineering and related expenses, construction, inspection, testing are eligible for reimbursement, so they will come out of the project funds. But hopefully by the first meeting in September, we'll have the final draft of that.
We don't need to make a motion till we get.
Let's get the final language and approved by county attorney. County attorney said he hadn't had a chance to really go through this, and
All right.
we did discuss a little bit of the, on the face of it, what probably needs to be added, but we haven't gotten a response or haven't submitted our needs back to them for them to add it and get the final version so we can adopt it.
Sounds good.
Okay, item number 10, department reports. Okay, Tommy, you had a good report. I know y'all been awful busy and started the blacktopping and
Done a little bit, things are going well. Doesn't look like we'll be able to start back till after Labor Day on blacktop. All the roads, side spraying, and that type of work is just about wrapped up. The bridge on Buffalo's done, I guess we'll open Monday.
yeah, you had a picture that showed that they got the top ball on it and everything today.
Yesterday, yeah, we backfilled it and things today, so,
That's incredible.
yeah, it is 3
There's
days.
some pictures of Tommy. Did you see those back?
What's the load, on those new bridges, what's the load limit? The guy asked me specifically the Demrick Oil Bridge, what would, say, the load limit on those be? Do you know?
Well, it'll have to be posted, it's
No, but he was just,
25 tons.
25 rating, that's a new requirement the state puts on any of those 80/20 bridges that they
They
have.
don't have to be posted.
right, he was just wanting to know, I thought it would be sufficient, but I didn't know. Yeah, yeah.
But I have had a couple leads this week here, so I know one is gone and possibly another one. And I mentioned hiring 2 CDL drivers, but I'd like to change that to 1 CDL driver and 1 sanitation worker. If we could advertise and hire those.
Yeah, we need a
Motion to advertise for hiring 2 workers.
Second.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Masterson?
Yes.
Mr. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Most of the McMasters, M&M, they got our sign program up and running today, so that's fixed. And our sign truck is pretty much done. The only thing we like is just painting it up, cleaning it up after all the fabrication we done on it. The old 95 model.
Yeah, I looked at that day I was out there.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Everything's all right now that I know of. Thank you.
Today,
Never know about tomorrow.
Okay, the only other thing that Tom and I talked about, and I apologize for maybe not giving the court a little heads up, when I was at the Magistrates and Commissioners and Judges Conference, the combined conference here about a month ago, this David Branham was one of the exhibitors down there, and we've dealt with Gaddy Shamrock before, and we talked about, it's been 5 years probably since we did Dry Fork, and part of, I guess, some of the other roads, we got a little, probably option to do a little bit more chip sealing in the county. They have a new process, and it's really pretty amazing to watch. This asphalt mist over top of a chip seal gives it a blacktop look. I mean, it really does look like a blacktop road.
is that what that fogging is you're talking about in there?
Fogging, asphalt mist.
Fog.
I haven't seen any roads personally other than the videos on it. And Tom and I were talking about maybe the possibility of roads that are just checked and cracked but sound, and that's what they advocate for this new process. And I haven't really called to check and see about, because in the past, the real drawback to any chip and seal roads is most other gravel roads is salting, and you can't really
It's the same too, you can't stop.
can't salt over top of it, even though it's over top of a blacktop road.
You can't salt them and you can't grade them, can you?
Well, they'll skin them up some when you plow.
Yeah,
That's the only drawback, the big drawback.
Stuff ain't no good.
The remark I heard Tommy Turner made at one of our meetings, one of the best salt melting, I guess, conditions is a good black road, and it does melt off a lot quicker. Of course, that would eliminate some of the need for salting, because the surface does look really, really dark and almost looks like fresh blacktop. Of course, that'll fade and it'll kind of go back to white over time, but that asphalt fog that they put over top of it does change the appearance of it quite a bit. Does seal it a little better too.
Like, I know they're cheaper, but when you do the chip and seals, maybe half price and it just lasts half as long too. Is that kind of
That's what I've seen.
yeah, that's what I was.
What I've done down in Homestead Valley down in there, it's, you got potholes,
Pretty quick.
yeah.
And we
It
just
doesn't
sealed.
hold up like blacktop, I tell you that.
We just sealed over gravel, pure gravel. Now, this process, they were recommending over top of good, sound, solid asphalt and get you another 5 years before you had to go back. And I guess if we were really stretched and stressed, and we're not, wanting to waste any kind of money, period, but if some counties couldn't afford the blacktop like we're doing, I could see where it would be a little more probably of a necessity to look at it this route. But
We might be, yeah, it might be a good idea just to, because, I will say this, obviously, when we look at the cost, the cost is very justifiable, but we might want to pick out maybe a short portion of road that try it on, just test it out, see how it works through the winter and so forth, and then this time next year, we'll have a much better idea about what it looks like and so forth. But
But you gotta remember, you can't salt it.
yeah, that's correct.
Riley.
So since
I'm trying to make
you
private
can't
driveway.
salt it, I was thinking Masher Wicker's district would be a great place to use it.
That's the two roads that they looked at.
Oh,
I don't want it.
I had noticed that, Masher Wicker, I'm sorry.
rather not have it than to have it and be a test for it and get it done. And of course, I guess you can always go back and repave over it. Of course, that
Test somebody's private driveway or something.
Well, there are some smaller, shorter county roads out here that have very little traffic and so forth that, I think outside looking in, I think it would make
A gravel road. be
cost
okay.
justifiable sense, so. When
You take like Dry Fork where we got that hill that's not ready for blacktop.
Yeah.
Something like that needs to be chip sealed, but that's not more leaning toward this top coat that you're talking about, the fogging. It just needs to be chip sealed to hold what we got until more repairs can be made.
If the counties really need a place, I got a blacktop lane about 2/10 back to my house. But I would let the county
I'm
experiment
sorry,
with it.
Master Marston, they don't allow that anymore. That doesn't happen. But,
That's just totally trying to be decent.
yeah, you know,
Couple
like
magistrates
take
in
a
other
road like
counties under
Bill
indictment
Chapman
for some of
Lane
that
or something
stuff,
like
I
that. You know, you take like Bill Chapman Lane or a road like that where it's very little traffic and so forth. I mean, it very well might, you know, be feasible because it is, you do save so much money, so.
Well, you need something not to travel too much. If you can't solve it, that may be an issue in the wintertime.
I'll look at some shorter roads if that's what y'all want me to look at. I just picked a couple longer ones that were due to be blacktop next year, so.
And I think it's a great idea, those two you picked out. I'm not sure Master Wicker goes along with it. So,
Well, we'll
I
look
don't
at,
like it.
we'll look
I
at
don't like
identifying another shorter road or two and come back to
Might
court.
try it on a
Of
gravel
course,
road.
you think Dry
somewhere.
Fork is ready again, I mean, that's not price, but that's one we've talked
Yeah,
about.
it's just chip sealing, yeah, with not the top coat, there's no sense in putting the finish coat on it.
Yeah,
It does get some chip seal work done on it.
right.
Either that or just go down there with a paver, skim it with some base or something, you know. Of course, it's not ready for blacktop because your shoulders will be they're not,
Too
it's
low.
not good enough to be
Right,
leaning that way, in my opinion.
yeah.
Also, let me,
You create more problems.
yeah, while we're on the road department, have you got that information as far as the layout of the salaries and so forth and that information? So, yeah. So if the court, if you guys could, I think, did everybody get a copy of that? Okay.
Last meeting.
Yeah, so if everybody could take a look at that, I would hope that maybe in the next couple of meetings or something, if everyone would take a look at it, just break down, give your own basics as far as your own judgment, and we compare those and kind of see where we go from there, because I would like to see us get a little more balanced in regards to the pay.
Yeah,
and so
we
forth.
could work on that some.
We need evaluations, I think.
I think that, obviously, that's, valuations are something that we're putting into play, but I think the first immediate gesture would be to review the current salaries, so forth, pay wages and so forth, and
I
just
think
make sure we have a balance.
Get it
So,
structured
yeah.
decent, and
There
then
you
after
go.
that, we can
Well, that's a
evaluate.
key term, give them structure. Good point.
All right.
Thank you.
Bring it up here in a couple of meetings, just give you fair warning, so.
Very
should be ready.
Got the papers right here.
Still item 10, Keith, good report, good follow-up.
Thank you, Tom.
You had 2 or 3 things you wanted action on. That was to rename the proposed Hickory Street to Locust Street. If y'all read item number 2 there, there's a little bit of a suggestion by the Postal Service that we had suggested a couple of road names that might be a little too similar.
Right.
So that Hickory Street in Cronin Mobile Home Park, we looked at, there's nothing in the county named Locust Street, so we'd like to repropose that.
There's not one in
You
Raywood.
wanna get them
Locust,
on?
is there? Okay. Well, also, on that same thing, did you have a name for that loop?
Old 68 loop.
Oh, sure, okay. Okay, with that one. You need a motion on this name change here,
On Locust, yeah.
local,
That new 68.
yeah. Make a motion to change from Hickory Street to Locust.
Second.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Masterson?
Yes.
Mr. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Unanimous.
You want to change that to new 68 loop?
New 68 loops around it.
This Locust and all, that's, are they private? That's private out there, isn't it?
That's county.
And Cronin is, okay. I didn't know, and the Cronin's trailer
I
park.
think it's all county.
The Cronin, is those streets in there, are they county streets or private?
Yeah, it's a county road.
We run garbage and everything through there.
Now, there may be a street off of it.
Well, I didn't know, yeah.
There's 2 or 3, which it doesn't amount to very much.
No, it's not, yeah.
It's been on the county for years.
The last thing that Keith's got a note about, we've been getting, trying to get followed up on, I know Robert Stack, Lexington, Urban Fayette County Government, called or emailed and wanted to know where our compliance was, or MSAG, as far as their, validation of the accuracy, and we haven't gotten a number back from Windstream, although Keith and John Thompson and Sharon were pretty sure it was at 90-95% before it was ever sent off. So question came back from Wes Cox over at Dispatch, when they're going to install the equipment, and his answer was AK is ordering equipment, but they don't ever install until they've been assured by the phone company that it's at least 90%. So we're trying to pressure Windstream to verify that that's the case, because we do want to stay on schedule and hopefully get everything installed so they do hot testing and go live come October like they're planning to do. So it's just a follow-up to that.